I've been using the Panasonic BS1H now for just over a month, and in that time there's definitely a lot that I've learned about this camera. It's super important to me that I don't seem biased or one-sided in my videos, so in today's video I want to talk about all of the pros and cons that I've found while trying to use this body as my main camera for the last few weeks. First of all, it goes without saying that this camera is for an acquired taste. You really need to understand the benefits of a box style camera in order to fully appreciate why the BS1H is a fantastic option for many situations. I'll leave a link to my first video about this camera somewhere on the screen just in case you missed it. However, with box style cameras, there are a few trade-offs, and after using this particular body for some time now, there are a few things that I wish were done a little bit better. The first and probably most frustrating thing about this camera is the fact that you can't actually view the camera menu or settings when you switch to raw record output via HDMI. So that means that if you're shooting with an Atomos Ninja V and recording ProRes RAW, then you won't actually be able to access your settings while the raw signal is being outputted. This is super annoying, and even though you can still use your function buttons to change the settings without actually seeing what you're changing that particular setting to, you're still essentially going in blind, and that doesn't fill me with much confidence when I'm on a shoot. It is the same situation with Blackmagic RAW 2, since it's a weird side effect that happens as soon as you allow raw record data in the BS1H menu. So that means that I find myself shooting with one of the more compressed ProRes codecs more often than not, since you can still actually view your menus and settings when recording in ProRes LT all the way up to ProRes 4444 HQ. Unfortunately though, with Blackmagic RAW's compression flavors, you will still have the same issues, as even the most compressed 12:1 codec is considered raw, so therefore you will need to switch to raw record data output in order to get a signal from the camera to your BM Video Assist. I really hope that Panasonic can come out with a firmware update for this camera that solves this issue, but until then, I wouldn't say that it makes raw recording that fun. Aside from this weird quirk, everything else about controlling the BS1H does become second nature after a little bit of practice. You can assign all of the FN buttons to whatever you'd like, and this makes things pretty easy once you memorize what you've set each one to. The buttons on the front of the body just by the lens mount are a little bit tricky to find and press if you're behind the camera, so it would have been nice if they were less recessed and maybe had a different texture to the rest of the body, but then again, this is actually quite a small nitpick, and with muscle memory, I'm sure that you'll get used to it. Aside from those two things, I can't actually think of any other cons that I found while using the BS1H. And I know that some people are upset that there's no Ibis in this body, and while I can understand the frustration of this since Panasonic are definitely the market leaders for Ibis, it's just very rare to see a box camera that has it. And of course these bodies are made for rigging up if you did want to shoot handheld, so that extra weight paired with a lens that has OIS will give you extremely pleasing results on that front. Something that I have found very pleasing about this body is the battery life, and it's actually very good indeed. In fact, I've actually been able to get through entire shoots with just one of the AG BVR batteries, and I think that's down to the absence of a screen and Ibis. So, like with every feature on a camera, every plus side has a downside and vice versa. This is still a Mark I camera when you think about it, so if Panasonic do decide to make an update to their boxed cameras, then who knows what improvements will come with it. For me, I would absolutely love to see a small display screen on the top of the camera that shows your record settings and other little bits of info that would be great to check very quickly, just like what we've seen on the Zcam cameras. And I also think it would be great to see some mini XLR inputs as well, just so users can record with some high quality mics internally without the need of the DMW XLR1. Those would be the only real two physical changes that I like to see, and while I know a lot of people would love to see internal NDs as well, I just think that you'd have to compromise the form factor quite a lot to be able to squeeze those in there. Of course it would be nice, but I totally understand why they could have been left out. After all, no camera is perfect, and I'm sure that Panasonic were very aware that the BS1H wouldn't be adopted by every single person out there. I will definitely still be using this camera for a while alongside my S5 and my S1, as there's just so much to love about this body, and I just find it super fun to use. The form factor is fantastic, and as I said in my previous video, using this camera on a gimbal or rigging it up for handheld use is actually very, very good indeed. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it somewhat useful, entertaining or interesting, and if you did then please subscribe, because I do make a lot of videos surrounding the Lumix ecosystem, so if you're into that sort of thing then this channel will be for you. So yeah, thanks again for watching, and hopefully I shall see you in the next one.